so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Thoughts for Rent, Realtors Keeping It Real. As always, I am Ireland, and this is
Jenni McKenna.
And she has actually picked the subject today, so it's going to be a really exciting one.
So we're diving in because, of course, you guys may already know this. Ireland and I work for McKenna Property Management, and I wanted to find out what the worst states to own property, investment property in. So I found this great article. It's very relevant. It's actually through Turbo Tenants 2025. They compile all the data. And we're going to dive in and see what the 5 worst states are. But at the same time, we're going to compare Nevada because we're experts in Nevada. So we're going to do that. So you guys are going to get some good information about other states as well as what Nevada does for property investors.
Perfect. So we ended up, or Jenni actually ended up finding an article from, I believe, what are they called? What's the company called?
It's like Real Estate Journal. It's like Real Property Management Journal. Okay. But they got their stats from the Turbo Tenants report of 2025. So that's actually where that information came from. So it's not our information. Yeah. We're not grabbing this just willy-nilly. We actually have the data that is being brought to us for this.
So Turbo Tenant, they gave their top 5, and so we'll start at we'll start at number 5, and then we'll end up at number 1. But number 5 for not the best place to be a landlord is Illinois.
Oh my gosh, wait till you hear this. Well, first, let's tell everybody what was the criteria of this. So what Turbo Tenant did is they decided that they were going to look at it from these criterias: the tough eviction laws and slow court systems. So that was on there. Rent control restrictions, which is a hot button. Actually, it's a hot button in the big, beautiful bill that just got passed. So there's going to be some more information about that. And then high property taxes, and then tenant favoring legislation. I like to call that anti-landlord legislation. They made a nice little fluffy sentence called tenant favoring legislation. So that was the kind of the criteria that got these states on this 5 worst states to own property in. Okay, so now start with the Illinois one, which is going to flabbergast you.
So with Illinois, at least with this report, they said that because of the backlog of the courts, there are some counties that are experiencing up to 2 years.
Oh, no, you didn't say 2 years, did you?
Yes.
2 years to get a non-paying tenant out of a property?
Yes.
Are you crazy?
Not in Illinois.
What the heck are they thinking in Illinois? That is insane. So in Nevada, a non-paying tenant, how quickly can we get them out, Ireland?
So in Nevada, we really only exist in 3 city districts, and they're all in the same county. Clark County is huge. If anyone wants to look it up, it's a lot of space. And then because we service the southern Nevada area, we only have to deal with North Las Vegas, and Henderson, which I always find interesting because you go to California or you go to other cities, and there's like 20 cities or like 20 different counties. So the fact that we only have to deal with 1 county in 3 cities is definitely unique. I think that helps our court system out a lot. And with Henderson and Las Vegas, they're pretty fast. Honestly, I would say like we can get a judgment in about 2 to 3 weeks. North Las Vegas is a little bit behind. They're a little bit more delayed, but even then that really only extends to about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. So we're still looking at less than 2 months. Most of the time we're looking at a month. The whole process in and of itself might take close to 60 days, but when we actually want to get in front of a judge and actually start that process, it's pretty quick.
I like to say Nevada is the wild, wild west, baby. Pay your rent or get out. And the courts favor us in that. I mean, when I first started, I would tell you I could get a non-paying resident out in 3 weeks. That was 20-something years ago. However, it has gotten a little bit longer, and I think that's just because of the number of rentals that have come into the valley. I don't necessarily think the system has changed. It's just the amount of new rentals that mean more court hearings.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Nevada, we'll get them out in 60 days, guys. So compared to Illinois, that's let's see, 1 year and 10 months faster.
Yeah.
Than what they can do there in our lovely Illinois. And let's not forget, Illinois has high property taxes, which is also what makes it a tough environment and is the reason why they nailed number 5 on the top 5 worst places to own a rental property. Okay, can I do the next one?
Sure.
So the next one is a little close to my heart because my husband, Max, loves this state, has always wanted us to move there. And I have said, no. And now this gives us another good reason to not transfer our money, retirement money, into any kind of real estate there. And the state is Oregon.
Go Ducks.
Yeah, go Ducks, right? Or Beavers, right? However, Oregon made headlines as being the first state in the United States that passed the statewide rent control. What were they thinking, Ireland?
They were being tenant friendly.
But even then, I don't even think it's to the betterment of the tenant when you really look at it long term either. I am not a big fan of rent control. And Oregon, you're the first state to make it statewide. All of the other states we're going to talk about, there's different areas and cities that have it, but not as a full statewide.
So I think that one of the issues when it comes to rent control, because there's a lot of back and forth, obviously people are going to have different opinions, but if you are telling an owner that there's a cap, that there's a rent control, I think what that owner will do, no matter what, is get to that cap. So in Oregon, they're at 7% right now. And I believe that that means that every time there's a renewal, every time that that cap is a possibility, that owner is going to choose the 7%, is going to take it all the way to the max. And I think that what can happen sometimes, and what we see here in Vegas or in Nevada, is that our owners might wait till vacancy to make that adjustment. So if they have a really good resident in place, they might keep it a little lower, or they might be a little bit more lenient to them when it comes to the funds, because then when it goes back on the market, they can adjust to the market accordingly. Mm-hmm. So we've actually seen a couple people who have been in the property maybe for 7 to 10 years. And then that rent might go up by $300 because that owner really appreciated that resident and was keeping them at a reasonable rate. Mm-hmm. But if you're in a place that has rent cap, as an owner, you might get nervous and not have that opportunity to make that large jump during vacancy. And so you're just always going to choose the 7%. And so then these people and these residents are always going to have to deal with a 7% increase, where if you leave it up to the actual market, 1 year it might be 3%, 1 year it might be 9%, 1 year it might be nothing, no increase. So I think that when you put a cap on things, people tend to always choose to go to the max. But if you don't put a cap on things, then you actually have the chance to pick and choose and actually base it off of your experience with that resident, the market, the city. And I just don't think all those things are being considered when you do a rent cap.
And that is why Ireland should have won every debate thing she did. Did you ever go into debate?
Nope.
She should. Isn't she good at explaining those things? I think that was a very good explanation on that. The other thing to know in Oregon, which you're going to hear this quite a few times on the next states, is it is really difficult to get a resident out of a lease. So in Oregon, they call it they don't have what's called a no cause eviction. They actually have, they name it something else, like lease violation eviction or something. But basically, there's only certain guidelines that you can follow in Oregon in order to actually not renew the lease with the resident, which makes it really tough, because you could have a resident in there completely violating the lease. And if it doesn't fall into the one of 6 categories of specific reasons you can evict, you are stuck holding on to that lousy resident.
Yeah.
So that is number 4, which is Oregon.
And this report didn't talk about it, but I'm also pretty sure Oregon and Washington have squatters' rights, which is crazy.
And we may be talking, oh, you know what? Washington didn't make the top 5. Washington was in the top 10, but not the top 5. And you're right. They do have squatter rights. That there shouldn't even be rights in the same sentence next to a squatter. What the heck? Sometimes, you know what? That might be why I love property management, because it makes you constantly stay on your toes, and you have to be on top of all of the new legislation so that your voice can be heard, so that you don't have things get passed in your state that have squatters' rights in that bill. Yeah. Okay, so what's the next one, Ireland? Number 3.
Number 3 is New Jersey. There's a trend. A lot of these are on the East Coast, I've noticed.
I've noticed that too.
New Jersey has really high taxes.
Tell everybody what their property tax is.
2.49%.
Let's just call that 2.5. That's a 2.5% if you're ever going to call it. What's Nevada's property tax?
Nevada's average sits at right around 1%.
1% compared to 2.5%. That right there means I'm not going to be buying some rental properties in New Jersey.
Absolutely.
They also have some jurisdictions in New Jersey where they have done rent caps as well. It's not statewide, but there are certain areas where they can do that rent cap, which always makes it kind of tough. And I loved when they said under the article, they said, and yeah, in New Jersey with the slow courts, it makes evictions really tough. So that's the first time they actually said really tough. Even in Illinois with the 2-year mark, they didn't say really tough. So there must be some other factors going on in New Jersey. It's like the cobweb of litigation. And so they just said it's really tough.
Yeah.
So the next one is number 2. Number 2 is not going to surprise anyone. I don't think number 2 or number 1 is going to surprise anyone.
No, I don't think so.
Number 2 is our lovely little state called New York. And New York is just strange when it comes to property management, what a resident can and cannot do. The thing that's a little mind-boggling to me in New York, and I'll let you talk kind of about how the rent control and what their increases are and what it can't be. But do you know that if you raise your rent with the resident in New York, they can appeal it? They can appeal it. They don't own the darn thing, and they can appeal that rent. So that one, again, won't be buying any property to rent out in New York. That's going to be a place I continue to visit. Love, watch Broadway plays, eat some great food, enjoy the walk in Central Park, but we're not going to be buying any rental property there.
Yeah. It was marked as one of the most resident friendly and tenant friendly. So that kind of factors into the idea to appeal. And then that also factors into, I think they also are trying to do couple rent caps and things of that nature.
Yep.
And then their eviction process, you also have to be very specific with what the eviction is about.
Yeah, that one's a tough one. New York, love ya, but not going to be buying any property there anytime soon. And then we've got some time to talk about the number 1, grandiose, the state that is the hardest to own rental property. Drum roll. Okay, Ireland, tell everybody.
It is California.
I don't think that surprises anyone. Anyone that has had California rental property, feel free to comment on some of the experiences that you have had down below, or DM us and let us know, because there are some stories I've heard about California rental laws. One that's off the top of my head is from a couple. She did get a divorce, and this is coming from the owner. So this is obviously just taking everything at the owner's word. But the owner said that at the divorce, she was single mom, and she was in his rental property, and she couldn't pay rent, and he tried to evict her. And get this, it took over 4 years. 4 years to get that resident out. And I asked the owner, I said, well, were you getting any money whatsoever, any compensation? He said, no. And I had to pay for the court in order to get the eviction. And you're going to die about this. He still had to keep up with all the repairs. So during that time, there was a water heater and an AC that had to be replaced during the time that she lived there with absolutely no income coming in. Maybe you could look at it with the silver lining. You want to know the silver lining on that one?
What?
Well, if rent had been coming in, the owner would have been paying about 13% in their state income tax.
Yep.
Did you guys hear that? 13% on money that you made off of a property that you've got all the headache on, but your state is going to take 13% of it. Well, that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the reasons I am not calling a realtor and buying properties in California. So with that being said, is there anything else about California that you want to add? That was kind of the thing I remembered, that the eviction laws being so tough and that high state income tax.
Yeah, no, the high state income tax is definitely crazy, especially when you compare it to Nevada that has none.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Really? I say that very sarcastically. Hopefully that is coming across. That is one of the most beautiful things about Nevada. We don't have a state income tax. Make your money. Yeah. Buy that rental property, rent it out. If they're not paying, let's get them out. Let's go to court if there's a lease violation and get that resident to get back into compliance with the lease. All of that is done relatively easy here in Nevada. And when you make your money, you keep your money. And I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you got any fun stories, I would love to hear it. I have been in the business since 1993. Ireland's been around the block quite a few years as well. We love to have stories from other states. Our states are kind of like Nevada is a little bit on the non-drama side.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't really get to dish too much tea out. So if you've got something, make sure that you reach out to us, let us know. If you'd like to talk a little bit further about some of the other states that are on this list, and we will put that link in there for the article.
Yeah.
So the article is the top 10. We only went off the top 5. But yeah, if you want to do a little bit more research, or if you've got some information and you want to dive into some of the other states, we'd be happy to do it because I love dishing the tea on the other states.
Absolutely. We're big Nevada fans anyway, so anytime we get a chance to brag, we will.
That's true. So you've got it here. Our rundown of the 5 toughest states to be a landlord right now in 2025. 5th, Illinois. 4th, Oregon. 3rd, New Jersey. 2nd, New York. And the last and the first to get the worst state to own property in would be California.
Californication.
That's right. So you want to end it out? I think we've been with everybody for 17 minutes. They probably got to go on with their day. Hopefully they found this interesting, and I'll let Ireland take us out.
Yeah, of course. Well, like she said, if you have any comments, questions, stories, feel free to comment below. Feel free to subscribe if you like listening to this stuff, and we'll see you guys next week.
And share this episode. If you've got somebody that lives or has rental property in any one of those states, share this so that they can kind of have a chuckle.
And then make them move to Nevada.
Yes. And until next time, invest smart, stay informed, and keep your properties profitable.
Bye, guys.
Oh, there you go. Sound good? Okay, good. I'll pass over to Ireland. Here you go, Ken.
Thanks, Pops.